Hey guys, I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to explain the projects to you for Unit 2. For the Career Unit, there's 2 projects. So if you're in Open Class, click on the Careers tab and go down to Career Action Plan. And both of the projects are housed on this page. The first one is your resume. So you're going to scroll down to the Write a Resume section, and you'll see your list of tasks. And at this point, if you're ready to start the project, that means that you've already done tasks 1, 2, and 3. It's important that you've done those to get some practice and understand what goes on a resume before you actually start writing your own. So you'll see in step 4 the resume project instructions and a rubric. And there are 3 parts to this. Part 1 is doing some basic research on both the job that you're applying for and the company you'd like to work for. Part 2 is a brainstorm activity where you evaluate what you have already accomplished or the skills that you bring to the table based on your work experience, your classes that you've taken, and your extracurricular activities. And then part 3, you actually write your resume. So if you are looking at Open Class, you can find all of that stuff right here. If you're on the Agenda tab, you can find all of that stuff in the Resume Projects section. And please note that this project is worth 40 points. 6 points for the research, 10 points for the brainstorm, and 24 points for the final resume. So all 3 are important. Let's start with the instructions. First of all, you want to make sure you read the directions all the way through. You are, in this scenario, a high school student looking for an opportunity to save money for college, buy a new car, go on spring break, whatever the case may be. Bottom line is you need a job and you need to find something that you can legitimately have as a high school student. So some of you are interested in becoming nurses or engineers, and that's great, but you're not qualified or certified for those positions yet. Think of something that you could do right now as a 16, 17, or 18-year-old, like working at a grocery store or being a sales associate at a retail store in the mall. You're going to choose your job, and then you're going to figure out what company you'd like to work for. If you want to work as a sales associate and you really like technology or video games, then maybe working at Best Buy or GameStop would be a good fit for you. So think about that stuff. After you conduct some basic research, you're going to do that brainstorm activity. Again, like I said, you're going to be looking at your education, your experience, and your extracurricular activities, and really trying to see if those match up with your job objective. And then it's time to write your resume. So, aside from those first 2 parts, your resume is going to be graded using this rubric. And by this point, you should already know the criteria for writing a successful resume. The first piece of criteria is format. This means, what does your resume look like on the page? Did you use consistent font styles and font sizes? Did you take up the whole page? Did you use bullet points? Things like that. As you scroll down, you'll see personal information, job objective, education, and experience. The last one really kind of depends on you. You guys are going to have different stuff depending on what you've accomplished so far. Skills, activities, and honors. You might have all 3 of those sections. You might just have one of those sections. It kind of just depends on what you have going on. So make sure you read this rubric before you get started. Once you're ready, you're going to go to part 1. Like I said, basic research on your company. And there aren't very many questions. There are 5 questions that you're going to answer, starting with the job title and the company you want to work for, and a short description of the position. These are all things that you can Google. If you want to be a cashier at Jewel, you might be able to come up with that summary off the top of your head. If you're struggling, go to Google and look it up. But please write in your own words. Once you've decided on the company, I want you to do some basic research on them. It's important to know what the company stands for because that's going to help you decide if it's a good fit for you. And at the bottom, it says, what are some tips from current or former employees? Again, that's something that you can probably Google. If you can't find something specific to your company, then just look for in general, I should say, tips that people give for being successful in an interview. Make sure in question 4 that you link any sources that you use. And then 5 is really about you. I want you to think about what you would add to that company. In other words, why should they hire you? Once you're done with this document, you're going to move on to part 2. Part 2 is the brainstorm activity. And you're going to see in this first box, a lot of this stuff is repetitive from part 1. So you're simply just going to copy and paste. The only new thing is recommended traits or skills. So I want you to think about what traits would be best for somebody applying for that position. For example, if you want to be a camp counselor, you're going to be working with kids. So having patience, being kind, being creative and energetic, those are going to be important traits or skills to have. So I want you to think about that stuff. The reason why I'm asking you to put all this stuff here again is because I want you to be able to easily compare it to your evidence down below. So, like I said before, you're going to be evaluating yourself based on your extracurricular activities, the classes you've taken, and life or work experience. So if you are a member of the Key Club and you happen to be the president of that club, you definitely want to put that down on a resume. But it's more than just being the president. You want to put down what your responsibilities were as president of the Key Club. So did you organize meetings, plan events, whatever those responsibilities, those duties that you had, you want to put them down and be as specific as possible. If as a member of Key Club you volunteered in the community, then you want to put that down again, but be specific. Volunteered as a, or let's go this route. Volunteered at the soup kitchen at St. Beatrice Church. Okay? That lets somebody who's reading your resume specifically know what you have done. As far as classes go, you want to put down classes that directly relate to your job objectives. So if we're sticking with this camp counselor position and you've taken Taste of Teaching, that class totally relates. So you're going to write down Taste of Teaching, and then you're going to write down what you did in Taste of Teaching. Not just listen to lectures and take notes, not that stuff. The stuff that where you directly applied what you learned. So projects or practical experience, creating lesson plans, teaching lesson plans. The other classes that you might put down are any honors or AP classes, or a class that shows that you are bilingual or multilingual. So if you took Spanish 4 AP, and as a result of that class, you are now fluent in Spanish, both in terms of writing and speaking, that's something that you want to definitely write down, because that's a skill now. So you're going to put down related courses, you're going to put down classes that are rigorous, like AP and honors, and you're going to put down classes that prove that you have a skill. As for life or work experience, in terms of camp counselor, if you've had a job already as a camp counselor, then you definitely want to put that down as well. Camp counselor at Northlake Park District. You definitely will put that down. And then what did you do? You took care of 10 children throughout the day. You coordinated activities. Anything that relates to the job that you have or are applying for now. If you don't have true work experience with a boss where you earned a paycheck, but you babysit, then you'll put that down and explain your responsibilities for that position. If you're confused, you can click on this Emily Eagle example. It's also in Open Class if you can't find it here, but this shows you an example of how Emily Eagle filled out this document. And at the bottom, it shows a little bit of what she did for her evidence, but not too much because I didn't want to give it all away. So that's what you need to do for the brainstorm activity. The last part is creating a resume yourself. So you're going to go into your Drive, click on New Google Doc, and when you name your document, You can call it last name resume, your last name. And then you are going to put all of your information section by section in this document. If you have a hard time remembering how to organize your information, then you can definitely use online resources to help you. My other suggestion is to go back to OpenClass under the Write a Resume section and look at the sample resumes that were provided for you. Those would definitely be a huge help to you. So that's all for the resume project. If you have any questions, please contact your instructor, and good luck.